Умирали пацаны, страшно. Умираем пацаны, просто. И не каждый был снаружи прекрасным, и не все были высокого роста. Но когда на меня смотрели эти пыльные глаза человечьи, не по птичьи, да не по овечьи, по-людски они грели. Умирали пацаны.
Кто все серьезно?
Посмотри, снаружи прекрасно.
А дальше можно в другую сторону.
Там больше нет.
When the children look at you, you know that they are good children and that you can help them to become good people. But when they finish school, they can't find work. They start drinking. The girls become prostitutes. The parents force them into prostitution so that the family can eat. If they can't get away from here, that is what will happen to them. That is what the villagers are like.
А я им пел рок-н-ролльные песни, говорил, все будет нормально. И я кричал им, что мы все вместе. Да как-то слушалось это банально.
She called him, for she was in deep trouble. She called the man from Saxony, Clemens Pickel. Regina Dornhoff had been in hospital in Marx for 4 weeks following a heart attack brought on by worry. Her eldest son was murdered. Russians of German extraction are looking for support through prayer, but they find praying difficult.
Lasst uns beten, wie der Herr uns zu beten gelehrt hat. Vater unser im Himmel, geheiligt werde dein Name. Dein Reich komme, dein Wille geschehe, wie im Himmel, so auf Erden. Unser tägliches Brot gib uns heute und vergib uns unsere Schuld. Jetzt müssen Sie noch ein bisschen erzählen, wie Sie hierher gekommen sind. Ich habe Sie schon lange nicht gesehen.
Lang. Ganzen Monat.
Ganzen Monat? Ich denke schon ein ganzes Jahr.
Ihr dann fortfahren wahrscheinlich.
Ich fahre heute, fahre ich fort, aber Sonntag komme ich schon wieder. Ich fahre nur einen Tag.
Und ist gut.
Gelobt sei Christus.
Ewigkeit.
Das, was mich am meisten bewegt.
What moves me most here is experiencing what was done to people. The phrase which was so often used during the communist era, which talked about the new man and the dream that. Things are getting better all the time, and one day we will go shopping and buy what we want without needing any money, and then there will be peace over all the world. People haven't abandoned that dream yet. What has been stolen from people, or rather ripped out of their hearts, is what they believe in, or even their entire souls. People are crippled. I don't mean outwardly. Outwardly, they walk down the streets, and you would say that they are lovely women, lovely people, and lovely children here. But when I try to look deeper and see what is in people's souls, then I feel what poor, it sounds crude, but what poor cripples they really are.
He's on his way to these people. He doesn't want to wait until they come to him. 42 million people live in St. Clemens. 41-year-old Saxon Clemens Pickel is the bishop here. His bishopric is 4 times the size of Germany. Roman Catholics are in the minority. Not even 1 in 1,000 admit to being Catholic. Clemens Pickel has been working in Russia for 12 years. He came to this country to help the people who had lived under a dictatorship for years, people who fear the state, people who fear their neighbors. And that fear is still here today. Clemens Pickel has not brought any money with him, only sympathy and compassion and laughter. And for Stepnoye, a village of the steppes on the Volga, that is a great deal.
Владимир Владимирович? Серьезно? Ты начальник, что ли? Что с твоим носом?
Ничего.
Stepnoye, the forgotten German village. The 84 terraced houses are a gift from the German government to the people of German origin who live on the Volga and who fled from the civil war in Tajikistan and Kazakhstan in 1990. The German government wanted the people to find a home here in Russia. They didn't want them to return to Germany. Russia was supposed to provide jobs and an infrastructure. To date, Russia has done none of these things.
Everyone steals from everyone else. If you haven't got anything, just take it from your neighbor.
Emilie Lang's family have been refugees for their entire lives. Even today, they haven't really arrived on the steppes. They haven't any friends. Bishop Clemens Pickel is one of the few people in their lives who's prepared to listen, and that is at least something.
Ist er zu Hause?
Nein, jetzt nicht. Auf dem Wacht im Novorossiysk.
Schon lange?
Ja, schon ein Jahr in Moskau und schon 2 Jahre im Novorossiysk.
Novorossiysk?
Ja, dort.
Das ist von hier 1000, wie viel Kilometer?
Ja, 1.500.
Über 1000, ja. Und wann kommt er wieder?
Im Juli vielleicht.
Oh. Der kennt sein Kind nicht. Und seine Frau nicht. Muss man was machen.
Bishop Pickel himself sees only one way out for the German villagers of Stepnoye.
Die sind gekommen und sitzen ohne Arbeit. Und so
They came here, but they haven't any work. They see consolation in schnapps.
Leute im Dorf sind Alkoholiker. Männer,
More than half the people in the village are alcoholics, both men and women. And I ask myself how the children and the young people can bear it.
Ich denke wirklich manchmal,
This is a life without a future.
nach 8 Jahren
Sometimes I think the only solution would be, and I'm saying this after 8 years of work with these people, the only solution would be to evacuate this village and move it nearer to civilization.
Zivilisation rein.
Hopelessness is his daily bread, but it's no use giving up. That is this bishop's normal way of life, just like the long car journeys to places and people who wait and hope that he will come, and soon. Journeys are always long in Russia. Bishop Pickel and a sister from the Holy Order congregation are on their way to Lepley, to prison colony number 22. Lepley, a lonely village on the road between Moscow and Saratov, Lepley, a no-go area in the midst of 1,000 other prison colonies which surround it, a town that until 1985 was totally isolated from the outside world. But a uniform still helps in Russia.
Die meisten Afrikaner sitzen hier wegen Drogenschmuggel.
Most of the Africans are here for drug smuggling. Many of them did not really want to come to Russia, but were picked up in transit at Moscow airport.
Transitflughafen rausgefischt worden.
They were on their way from one country to another and were discovered with their drugs in Moscow.
Moskau entdeckt mit ihren
And now they're in jail for 7 years.
Jahre hier. Das heißt, sind natürlich
They have to learn Russian in order to survive at all.
überhaupt durchzukommen.
They don't write home because they are ashamed. Some are afraid of going home, for example, the Nigerians.
Weil die
A Nigerian who has been locked up abroad is also locked out of his home if he returns, for bringing shame on his country.
Чтобы снимать, есть
Да. Они специально за это приехали.
He wants to see your filming permit.
Film sehen.
Откуда едете?
Из Саратова.
И куда?
22-ю колонию.
Life in Mordovia is hard. In the summer it is hot and there are mosquitoes, so many that even the cows flee the meadows in the morning. In the winter it is bitterly cold. Hiding prisoners far away from civilization is part of the Russian system. Prison colonies far removed from normal life have a long tradition here. If Clemens Pickel wants to visit the prison and its 450 inmates, then he has to apply at least 60 days in advance. That is how long it takes the Russian Ministry of Justice to issue a permit or to refuse one. Something unique is happening in Russia. Behind these bars, every 14 days, a priest working for Bishop Pickels prays with the prisoners. The prisoners built this church with their own hands, working after hours at the end of a day's hard labor. The fact is that it was built at all. is thanks to Clemens Pickel. The money to build it came from Catholic charities, Aid to the Church in Need, and Renovabis.
He took the bread and gave you thanks. He broke the bread, gave it to his disciples and said, "Take this, all of you, and eat it. This is my body, which will be given up for you."
For Clemens Pickel, this prison church is a symbol. When it was consecrated in June 2000, he reminded those present of the Catholic martyrs who died in torment 70 years ago here in the wilderness because they refused to deny their faith. Today, the church offers the prisoners encouragement. Church services give them an escape from the everyday privations of prison life. Here they can look for other ways of coming to terms with their guilt. Cameras flash whenever the man born in Kolditz makes an appearance. These photos are for the people back home, a sign that loved ones are still alive. It is all too easy to die in a Russian prison. The bishop sends these photos to the prisoners' parents and family. Because Catholic priests are present amongst the prisoners of Lepley, inmates are better treated than at other prison colonies. They have enough to eat and their warders show them some respect. Colony 22 is only for foreigners. The bishop also knows colonies for Russians, for women, for children and for people with AIDS. In their free time, the prisoners of Colony 22 carved a special staff for the bishop so that he could show the prison head warders that he knew more about the prison colonies than they wished.
The prisoner wanted to pray together in a room one evening. That isn't normally allowed, but on this particular evening, the warder was in a bad mood and sent them into the forest for a second shift. All the prisoners who wanted to pray were taken, one after the other, into a special chamber and brutally beaten. They were beaten so severely that one of the Africans threw himself onto the circular saw when he returned to his work in the sawmill. He wanted to kill himself. He thought the saw would catch his neck, but it caught his shoulder, and now over half his body is scarred. He survived, but he did it for fear of being beaten again. I think that if someone can go that far in order to avoid a beating, I can but imagine what they did to him the day before. I really hope it was an exception, but how can I know?
5 years ago in Russia, a Saxon priest became a bishop. When Pope John Paul II designated him, everyone was amazed. The new bishop of St. Clements in Saratov, who was to care for a town on the Volga with its 1 million inhabitants, was only 36 years old, a rarity in the annals of the Roman Catholic Church. To this day, Clemens Pickel feels too young for his office. He has to learn everything here by himself, though he has the support of Catholic sisters in Marx and in Germany.
My family and friends are a long way away. Sometimes when I go to Germany and meet people, I feel that they don't want to let me go. I'm well off. Of course, I'm in the human and not in the material sense, though I'm not badly off in the material sense either. But from the human point of view, I have a lot of good people around me, and it's easy to get on with the people here. I didn't run away from Germany, and I'm not afraid of Germany. But I would still say that it is more difficult to be a priest in Germany today than it has ever been. I know how people are flooded with information, especially in Germany. They turn on the television every couple of hours. They can't live without television. They take everything in, and yet they still remember me. That really is a miracle.
This miracle makes life easy on the diaspora. Russia has changed. Now money is the only thing that matters. People don't matter anymore.
Wir sind 12 Jahre nach der Wende, also das heißt, leben in
We have been living in freedom for 12 years, but the people who are in power now are the same people who were in power then.
Opposition, die jetzt an der Macht ist. Wir haben viele Leute, die damals regiert haben und die heute regieren.
Clemens Pickel lives in this old new Russia, and the Russian authorities still use their power to harass and humiliate, shy away from those above you and trample all over those below you, and that includes foreigners. Pickel's 40 priests are all foreigners. They come from Poland, Argentina, America and Ireland, and they all need a work permit. Russian bureaucracy can tire you. It is meant to. Pickel's only privilege is his palace, an apartment on the 5th floor of a luxury apartment building.
Die Priester sind Ausländer, die sind müde.
The priests are from abroad and tired of this illogical way of going about things.
Jetzt haben die das endlich.
As soon as you provide one thing, they ask for another. At last we have achieved our second registration, but now we have to present ourselves at the tax registration office, so that we have to gather all the papers together again. And if during the initial process 10 people had to sign, and one has now died or moved away, the old document becomes invalid. And of course that means months of running around from place to place for official stamp after official stamp. We thought that the whole thing was over, and we were really happy. And then the police came and said, if you foreigners want to go on working in Russia, your parish has to be registered with the police, and everything has to begin again, and it's still not finished. Not everyone has completed the process yet.
The man from Saxony does not only have to battle with the capricious nature of Russia's bureaucracy, but also to face up to the fact that he works in a country where the Orthodox Church has the upper hand. The Russian Orthodox Church in Moscow is not yet prepared to welcome Roman Catholics. At the time of the Cold War between the two churches, every Russian who became a Catholic was considered to be an enemy of the state. Priests were expelled from the country. One was even murdered. That was 2 years ago. Relations with the Russian Orthodox Church remain difficult. The Roman Catholic Church continues to be accused of stealing believers from the Orthodox Church, both through the pastoral care that it offers and the practical assistance that it extends to help people in their everyday lives. There is a tremendous need for pastoral care throughout Russia, a challenge that the Orthodox Church has had great difficulty in meeting. Efforts to solve this discord are also being undertaken by Bishop Pickel, who tries to meet as many people as possible to talk with them in their communities, at their workplaces and in their homes, to explain and to build bridges. The bishop also meets priests in Saratov such as Sergei and Michael. Such friendships can prove to be risky though.
Weil die orthodoxen Priester Schwierigkeiten kriegen.
The Orthodox priests can get into trouble with their superiors.
Es gibt Beispiele, wo
There are examples of Orthodox priests who have sought contact with Catholic priests, having sought a dialogue, were moved away to other parishes. What a pity.
leider. Und es gibt
And this policy seems to be coming from Moscow.
Politik von Moskau.
Moscow is not only the capital of the former Soviet Union, but the center of the Orthodox Patriarchate.
Das Zentrum des Moskauer Patriarchats. Es gibt
There is a lot of doubt and suspicion in Moscow, which is hard to understand here in the provinces.
in der Provinz oder an der Basis schwer nachzuvollziehen sind.
Moscow is 830 kilometers from Saratov, and yet Moscow and the Patriarchate are still too close, not only for Father Michael.
Что это довольно-таки
The Catholic Church has traditions in Russia that go back an extremely long way.
здесь. И так как мне
And so I don't mind at all that the Catholics have come back here.
кому присутствовать и кому не присутствовать. Я маленький человек, занимаюсь
I don't think about such issues.
просвещением.
I am only an insignificant little priest.
А то, что было изначально в
Who am I to judge?
довольно-таки католическая церковь давно присутствует здесь.
But why should the Catholic Church not have the right to be here in Russia today?
Вопрос не очень.
I don't want any arguments.
ко мне. Вот. Кто я такой, чтобы судить?
The man from Saxony spends a third of his working life in a yellow Volkswagen, a gift from aid agencies Aid to the Church in Need and Renovabis. Without this help, Bishop Pickel would be unable to fulfill his mission in Russia, or for that matter buy the petrol for the car that makes so much possible. Clemens Pickel looks after 57 parishes, but he cannot visit them all regularly. The distances between them are far too great. He was last in Kazan, capital of Tatarstan, 9 months ago. Since the days of the Soviet regime, the old Catholic Church has become something akin to a wind tunnel, a testing ground but not for new aircraft, but for new ideas and new ways of doing things. The town offered Bishop Pickel a piece of land as compensation for the church.
We were given the piece of land a year ago, and now there are problems. It seems that part of the land belongs to someone else, and if the bishop does not come here himself to talk to the mayor, it seems we will lose it.
The Russian authorities are again dictating Pickel's schedule. He very much wanted to go to Switzerland, but he cannot cancel this appointment. Who knows when the mayor will be willing to speak to him again.
Ich habe große Hoffnung, dass heute was Gutes rauskommt bei den.
I really hope that the discussions will go well today.
Ich bin's nicht. Aber weil
Not because I am a good diplomat,
möglicherweise
but because the Pope's visit still has to be confirmed.
hier in Kasan sein. Das heißt nicht in Moskau, nicht irgendwo anders in Russland, aber eben hier in der.
If there are problems at this stage,
Wenn jetzt vorher
or if there is bad publicity,
einen Skandal gibt, sagen
the
wir,
visit will not take place.
dann fällt der Besuch ins Wasser.
The mayor, formerly first secretary of the Komsomol in Kazan, wants to win the next election. A visit from the Pope could work in his favor. And the Pope is also going to bring a long-promised gift, the famous Kazan Mother of God, an icon from the 16th century, a holy relic of the Orthodox Church. The mayor needs Pickel to recommend him to the Holy Father. The bishop listens carefully to the mayor of Kazan, but he feels that something is not quite right. The conversation seems to be about something else.
Bevor sie der Papst im Vatikan genommen hat. Вот это интересно, да?
His colleague, the Orthodox Archbishop Anastasi, knows the mayor's plans in somewhat greater detail. The town wants to bypass the Orthodox Church and claim the valuable icon of the Virgin Mary for itself. A new place of pilgrimage is even to be built for the religious relic, of course to be owned by the town. Archbishop Anastasi has been trying to speak to the mayor for 3 months. After all, the icon does belong to his church, but his efforts are in vain. Clemens wants to warn the Pope. The Holy Father should bring the icon, but in his suitcase, and not as a gift for the town.
I've never heard anything like it in the entire history of the Orthodox Church. I mean that a town would want to build its own place of pilgrimage, as it now intends to. In the Orthodox Church, places of pilgrimage are old abbeys and monasteries, which we have sanctified with our prayers. This is really unheard of, that a place of pilgrimage should be founded at the behest of a secular authority.
Clemens Pickel is continuously on the move between two extremes. On the one hand, the lofty politics of Kazan, on the other, the people of Marx and their fight for survival, their goats the only item of value they possess. He absolutely has to see the kids. It was he who enabled the Vist family to buy 2 goats. The goats have made all the difference to their lives. Marina and Viktor Vist, a Russian family of German origin, bring home 100 euros every month. They have to pay 10 euros rent for the house, which leaves 90 euros for 5 people, enough for the survival of 1 person in today's Russia. Clemens Pickel wants to help the Vist family. The money to build the house came from the German government. However, the Vist family took a loan a few days before the ruble collapsed. Now they won't be paying the 10,000 euros off over 10 years, but at least 30.
As long as the loan is not repaid, the family has to stay here in this house. But the house is impossible. One of the daughters is continuously ill because the air is damp and the smoke doesn't go up the chimney. She was recently in hospital for a whole month. Whenever she comes home from hospital, she hardly manages to get to school before she has to go back to hospital. Something has to be done. Perhaps I can even find someone to help the family to move. That would be really wonderful.
When he says goodbye, he always takes the people's problems with him, and so gives them hope that help will come. Bishop Clemens Pickel, 41-year-old German citizen born in Saxony with an unlimited residence permit in Russia. Clemens Pickel wants to grow old in Saratov, to grow old there and to die there. He feels at home with these people.
Умирали пацаны, страшно. Умирали пацаны, просто. И не каждый был снаружи прекрасно. И не все были высокого роста. Но когда на меня смотрели эти пыльные глаза человечьи, не по птичьи, да не по овечьи, по-людски они меня грели.
А я им пел рок-н-ролльные песни, говорил, все будет нормально. И я кричал им, что мы все вместе.
Да как-то слушалось это банально.